We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and a Cruiserweight Champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 148 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR, Pro Wrestling Talk. Of course, I am your host, Ethan. You can follow me at EthanMV95 on Twitter. You can follow the Analyst James Williams at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow our producer, Rob Flores, at
Rob Flores Media. And don't forget the R-Truth DMs for Ethan.
Once again, no showing Raw, not defending that 24/7 title. Just retired at this point.
I mean, is he still holding on to it on the show or on the the post show or whatever?
I think he is. But before we move on, I quickly want to acknowledge Roman Reigns as the head of the table, as my tribal chief, because, you know, we can't continue the show without doing that. James, do you have anything words to say about Roman Reigns?
About Roman Reigns? No.
Okay. What did you say, sir? You know,
I don't know what it's going to be at this point. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take. So
apparently, because you know, beating a Hall of Famer and a future Hall of Famer in Daniel Bryan isn't going to do it. So
no. He needs to do something good. There needs to be like a good act or a good duty or a good deed done. Look, I'll acknowledge him when he puts Jay over clean in the middle of the ring for the title.
Oh dear.
Yep.
No, Jay is away apparently now. He's nowhere to be found. According to the SmackDown last week. Let's just get right into it. Hell in a Cell came early on Friday Night SmackDown between our tribal chief Roman Reigns taking on Rey Mysterio. Roman Reigns said, I'm not going to work on Father's Day. Oh, why should he? He's probably the best father in the world. He shouldn't have to work on Father's Day. I don't know why they're trying to schedule him on Father's Day. He's got to be at the head of the table, of his own family's table, to be celebrated on Father's Day. So I'm glad they did this. And, you know, we didn't want to witness the murder of Rey Mysterio on Father's Day. I don't want Dominic to see that. So I'm glad they saved it a couple days ahead of time. Go ahead, James.
Okay. So a few points there. I guess I can agree. I think it is great that Rey Mysterio was not destroyed on Father's Day, but rather the day prior or 2 days before. Going back to Roman Reigns, I've mentioned it often, even last week, I believe. I've seen Roman Reigns at the ESPYs. His daughter was there. I will acknowledge Roman Reigns as a wholesome dad, wholesome father. There's no doubt about it. I seen him. He had his daughter there. They were great. He's a great dad. Great dad. Had his daughter all dressed up, you know, walking the red carpet of the ESPYs and whatnot. That's about it. Speaking of the ESPYs real quick, I think I mentioned who was in that Best of WWE category last week. I don't know if I mentioned, but the ESPYs won't be in LA this year, so I won't be there. It's going to be in New York on a rooftop somewhere.
You're not gonna make the trip. Not fly over there. Come on, James.
This show doesn't pay me enough to be going to New York.
Wait, you're getting paid, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Rob, we're gonna have to talk after the show, Rob. I appreciate this.
I'll just tell you now. We were gonna tell you after the show, but your feature endeavor.
I'm gonna slam. It's all right. I'm just gonna do my own thing. You know, I'm going solo.
Just mute. You can just mute your mic right now.
Okay. All right. Got it.
All right. This is my show now. And wait, Ethan, come back.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's get the show back on the right track here, because the rails there. Roman Reigns took on Rey Mysterio inside Hell in a Cell. It kicked off with Rey Mysterio kind of getting the advantage there. He used, I believe, a toolbox, fire extinguisher. Threw
everything but the kitchen sink, huh?
Pretty much. He threw Roman against the cell a few times. Wait.
Ray threw Roman against the cell?
He pushed him. He pushed him, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just expecting him to like put him over. I don't know.
Well, he didn't carry him. He kind of pushed him, or did the Irish whip.
Okay.
He wasn't carrying him.
Fair enough.
But then he did use a chair on him as well. He wrapped it around his neck. And then threw him against the cell. So poor Roman. Thankfully, he's okay. He seems to be okay. But then Roman got to the point where enough is enough. Got him with that Superman punch. Then power bombed him outside of the ring into the cell.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then hit a unique variation of the guillotine submission, and made Mysterio submit. In addition to that, we got Jimmy finally showing some respect to Roman, kind of siding with him. But now Jay is main event. Jey Uso's nowhere to be found. They tried to contact him over the last week. As this episode airs, maybe I'm sure we'll find more developing news about where Jay has been, and hopefully we can get this bloodline reunited, this family together again, and on the right track for SummerSlam. So,
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, Jay obviously the biggest part of that family, without a doubt, carrying it for several months, and yeah, we hope he comes back soon. I also found it interesting what was it? So Jimmy was on the bump the day of Hell in the Cell. We'll talk about Hell in the Cell in a minute. He just wants peace in the family. He says, this family stuff goes beyond what we see on the camera, and obviously there's disagreements at times, and Jimmy just wants him to be a tag team again, and that's the only part where I'm kind of hoping that's not the case. So I kind of feel for Jay, who's kind of stuck in the middle of trying to do what's best for the family, or do, whatever it takes to make Roman happy. Obviously, Roman is the champion. And then you got Jimmy, who kind of wants Jay to be back on the tag team scene again. But, Jay's kind of raised the stock a little bit. He's kind of earned the name Main Event Jay while Jimmy was out and injured. So I don't know. I kind of feel like going back to tag team, as I've mentioned before, would be bringing Jay down a little bit. But obviously, Roman isn't willing to give up the title to anybody, let alone someone in his own family. So poor Jay is kind of stuck in the middle. We'll see where it all plays out. And hopefully they can get things back on track. And maybe somewhere down the road, I will acknowledge him as more than just a wholesome father.
Mm-hmm.
That being Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm. Rob is here in the chat. Saying something about a crown. Someone was crowned last week as well. The King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura, is officially the King of WWE. Of course, the King of Strong Style. Baron Corbin as King. No more. We'll see if we see another repackaged Baron Corbin. Hopefully, it was enough with the whole King Corbin stuff. I think. Hopefully, we'll see something fresh very soon. So.
Yeah, a little bit later on, if we get to some more stuff on Raw, I think we'll end up getting a Raw at some point. But we need to talk about another new gimmick change that seems to be going on in professional wrestling that kind of has me confused at the moment. So we'll get into that a little bit later too.
Into some Hell in the Cell here. I'm going to be honest with you. I was asleep for half of the show. Not because it was bad. I was just tired. I've been meaning to go back and watch this, but I haven't. I know the results, but I haven't gone back. I've only seen, honestly, the only match I think I saw was a Bliss and Shayna Baszler.
So random.
From the like beginning to end, because I think every other one, I just kept falling asleep. I don't know what was up with me. Not that it was a bad show. I heard, from what the bits and pieces I saw, it was an okay show at least.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty solid show. We'll get into some of the matches here, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so I do have
yeah.
things to see. Thanks to
We have our predictions where you can tell me about
sports. Yeah, so
how
we'll go
right
through
I
the
am.
predictions. You weren't there right, I don't think, but we'll see. So there was a pre-show match. Apparently, that was pretty solid. Mandy Rose versus Natalia. Of course, they're keeping that kind of women's tag title feud going on with their teams. Natalia ended up picking up the victory, so I'm sure you were very happy with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we didn't predict it. It was kind of a last-minute thing. But anyways, the show kicked off with the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Bianca Belair defending against Bayley. Our predictions were all Belair. We all predicted Belair would retain, and that she did. I believe it was the KOD on the ladder to pick up the victory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember I think they did get a ladder involved there at some point.
I do have some, I guess, notes here through CBS Sports, so I can share.
Yeah, go ahead with that, because I do know that Belair's hair got involved early and often throughout the match. An interesting spot involving a chair as well.
All right, so basically, again from CBS Sports, Bayley went on the attack early and brought a chair into the equation, but missed on the first swing, allowing Belair to get a quick few near falls. She swung her braid into the chair several times after Bayley grabbed it again, but found herself on the defensive again after driving her shoulder into the ring post. Bayley kept the attack focused on the arm before bringing in the steel steps into the ring. Bayley cut off a Belair comeback attempt by biting the champion on the arm. Belair finally got things going, which made Bayley pay for suspending a pair of double kendo sticks between the ring and cell, hitting a spine buster to drive Bayley through the sticks. I believe they tried to do that spot with Bayley and Sasha last year as well, and it didn't work. So
yeah, they did.
Yeah. Bayley then came back, tying Belair's hair to a steel chair, which the challenger was seated. Bayley eventually was pulled forward into the same chair before Belair tied her hair around Bayley's wrist and dragged her around the cell using kendo sticks and whipping Bayley into the cell walls. That's interesting. I definitely have to go back and watch this one.
Yeah.
Bayley begged the referee to let her out of the cell, to no effect, while Belair looked on laughing. Bayley brought a ladder into the ring and used it to sandwich Belair and hit a rose plant. The ladder would lead to the finish as Belair took over and hit a running senton on Bayley on top of the ladder, and then hit the kiss of death on the open ladder for the pinfall. So Belair retained. That was basically the match in a nutshell. Seemed like some very innovative spots, which is always great, especially when you have multiple Hell in a Cell matches every year now. This time around, we saw it 4 times in 3 different shows. We'll talk about the next one, but soon. But it seemed like a fun opener.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think it was a great way to open the show. Again, they went back to the kendo stick spot, which I thought was interesting. I think it was even acknowledged by the broadcast team, where it was something where Bayley kind of learned from last year and the way that played out. Even though I don't think it was still even that effective this second time around either for her, or at least it didn't do much for me when I saw it. So, it's still a good match overall. Of course, as we all predicted, Belair was going to retain the title here and continue her run. I think it was good for her to continue her run, and obviously Bayley, as someone who won and held the championship for over a year last year, or for over a year. I don't know, because I'm sure that kind of maybe even went into 2021 a little bit. But I think it kind of adds to the title run and what they're trying to do as far as establishing Belair here a little bit by getting a big win over someone who had a pretty long title reign in Bayley.
Absolutely. Next match, we had Cesaro versus, of course, the drip god himself, Seth Drippin' Rollins.
Yeah, dinner was ready, and so I got up and I left.
All right. Well, that's the match. Rollins attacked Cesaro during his entrance. Cesaro got the jump as soon as the match started, hitting a body slam and a big back body drop before hitting a boot to send Rollins to the floor. Rollins used a thumb to the eye to put Cesaro on the defensive and open him up for a DDT. A Cesaro deadlift suplex led to Rollins having to dump Cesaro to the outside with a backdrop and a springboard knee for a 2 count. Cesaro came back, removing Rollins' glove and shoving it in Rollins' mouth before continuing his assault, which sounds terrible. Rollins hit a Falcon Arrow for the 2 count and followed up with another near fall after a kick to the back of Cesaro's head. When Rollins couldn't get the job done, Cesaro came back with a big Cesaro swing for locking in the sharpshooter. Rollins reached for the ropes to break the hold. Cesaro switched things up for a crossface, transitioning back to the sharpshooter after Rollins attempted a reverse pinfall. Cesaro stomped on Rollins' arms as he attempted to reach the ropes again, but Rollins was able to roll him up for a small package for the win. And of course, yours truly predicted this correctly. James, you actually surprisingly predicted this correctly. You predicted Rollins. Apparently, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't do it either.
I think I did that because I figured Cesaro won at WrestleMania, no?
Yes, correct.
So this was a revenge match, and then that means they'll probably have a rubber match.
Possibly. Cesaro, Rob chose Cesaro here, so lost that one there. But it seems like another good match. These two have great chemistry, of course. Seth Rollins basically the face of the company. Cesaro's, a good hand, and you put him out there. So we'll talk
can't
more.
with you.
When we return, we'll talk about a few more good hands, and then we'll talk more Hell to Sell.
And a gimmick change.
A gimmick change on Monday Night Raw. We'll talk a little bit of NXT because they have a big event coming up in a couple of weeks as well. And yeah, we'll be right back right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 80.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 148 of Beyond the Ropes. Of course, I'm your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst James Williams and producer Rob Flores. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. Where we're talking Hell in the Cell. And we're talking, the next match we're talking about, Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. An interesting contest, without a doubt. The only one I was awake for, I think, from beginning to end, which is just so random, as you mentioned earlier. I would be awake for the other ones, but again, just being tired, I guess, just didn't work out. So we'll talk a little bit about this match. Let's see what they got here. So once again, this comes from CBS Sports. Credit to them for getting this nice little recap here going for us. Let's start it. Bliss calmly walked forward while Baszler hesitated to engage until Reginald caused a distraction at ringside, allowing Baszler to get her offense going with some strikes. Bliss continued to alternate between anger and happiness as Baszler continued to attack with kicks, punches, and joint locks. During a wrist lock, Bliss yelled at Baszler to look at her, and Shayna released the hold once she had. This allowed Bliss to unleash a flurry of offense and a DDT for a near fall. Bliss then stared down at Nia Jax at ringside, forcing Jax to mirror her movements and slap Reginald with her mysterious magical tricks. Bliss then hit a sister Abigail and a Twisted Bliss, defeating Shayna Baszler. What do you think about this, James?
Yeah, I remember this match. I do. Interesting to see what they did there with Nia and having her. That was a pretty hard slap Reginald took. I was watching the show with my dad. My dad isn't entirely sure of Reginald's placement in the storyline as of late. Like, just him in general, he just randomly pops up. So my dad doesn't really understand. He knows he's kind of like in a manager role, but like it's still kind of weird. And I kind of agree. Reginald did kind of come out of nowhere.
Well,
and
he's got a little thing going with Nia Jax, I think. Got a little thing there.
Is that what's going on? Okay. Well, he took a slap. He took a slap from Nia, that's for sure. So Alexa did her tricks. I think it was just interesting to see Alexa in the ring in general, because I feel like that might have been the first match she's had in a while. Maybe she's kind of had some little Am I wrong about this?
He really hasn't had any matches in recent months.
Right. This is like that first match since she's kind of
the first
been
match
in this
went
gimmick,
3 or 4
hasn't she?
months. I think they were saying so.
Okay.
And she did have
Because
another.
I feel like that wasn't hyped up enough, if that is the case. Because I that was part of something that kind of stood out. And then obviously Baszler is usually the more dominant one, usually not afraid of anything. Very interesting when Baszler kind of had Alexa in this wrist lock here, or it was like more, yeah, like a hand, one of the things where she's bending the arm more, bending the hand back, trying to touch the reverse or the wrist. I mean, from in reverse or whatever. But just interesting that while she was trying to bend Alexa's hand back, Alexa was just kind of staring her down and kind of spooked Baszler there a little bit. And you don't see that happen to Baszler very often. So just very interesting to kind of see the roles almost reversed from what we're normally used to seeing from Baszler.
Absolutely. All right. So we all actually had Bliss here. I was going back and forth between Shayna, but I'm glad I went with Bliss. It seems like they're doing something interesting with there. I don't know what they're doing with Baszler, but we'll see, I guess. Next match, we had Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Owens took the fight to Zayn right away, but Zayn used a few underhanded tactics to get the offense here. After attacking Owens' arm and driving his throat, still affected by the Nigerian nail from the past episode of SmackDown. Zayn hit a big flipping dive over the top rope on the outside as the ref checked Owens' arm. Zayn ran forward with the boot. Owens fought back with a clothesline on the outside and tried to swanton him from the ring apron, but Zayn got his knees up to counter and hit a Blue Thunder bomb back in the ring for a near fall. Owens fought back with one arm before Zayn delivered an exploder suplex to counter a stunner and another near fall. As the action spilled on the outside, Owens hit a stunner, and Zayn barely beat the 10 count to stay alive, with Zayn bleeding from the mouth as the two exchanged punches and headbutts from their knees. Zayn hit a knee to the back of Owens, sending Owens throat first into the bottom rope. Zayn then pounced, hitting a haluva kick for the win. So good for Sami Zayn picking up his victory. The only one that got it right was Rob. Rob picked Sami Zayn. So I guess it makes us even because James and I didn't get this one.
Why would I have done that? These two wrestled at WrestleMania, did they not?
They did, and Owens picked up that victory. But I figured the way they've been kind of booking Sami Zayn, I mean, he could just lose every match.
I did notice with Sami Zayn, there was no real paparazzi or anything, or his video team, not paparazzi, but yeah, his video team.
Well,
did the documentary people, right?
Well, WWE, tried to shut that down. The conspiracy is still on him. So he said he's still mentioning the documentary. But no, they stopped kind of following him over the last several weeks. So
okay, fair enough. But yeah, Sami did get busted up in the match. He did have some blood coming out of his mouth. I think it was funny. He even kind of made a meme of it himself the next day in a tweet. Or someone, I think he used his own photo in a tweet where they said, "How's it like?" When they ask you how you're doing or something like that. I think I saw that somewhere. And his mouth was all bloody, and obviously he has that reddish hair, so it looked kind of interesting. But yeah, I haven't looked too much into it lately, but obviously now that we're talking about the match again, I'm reminded that it seemed, or at least it was portrayed, that Kevin Owens' arm seemed to have, his shoulder may have popped out there. So we may have to go back and see what the update is on that. But I do recall Owens was favoring the arm quite a bit. And even after the match, when the refs attended to him, I heard him, or you can kind of see him mouthing something along the lines of him maybe not being able to move his arm quite a bit. And if it was just for storyline purposes, then he obviously sold the arm or in the shoulder injury there very well.
Absolutely. I think he did say he was going to take a break or something. So maybe there was something there with the arm. Let's get into the next match, the Raw Women's Championship between Rhea Ripley, the champion, taking on Charlotte Flair. Flair attacked Ripley right before the match actually began and then hit a big boot almost immediately after the opening bell. Flair kept Ripley on the defensive, dominating her early in the match while taunting her. Ripley came back with a big drop kick from the top rope before locking in a high-angle Texas cloverleaf. Flair launched her into the turnbuckle, followed by natural selection, and attempted to use the middle rope for leverage on the pin. I do remember that spot. Flair went for a moonsault on the top rope, but landed on her feet and adjusted to the standing moonsault, basically what Andrade does, her, of course, significant other. She's gotten better with that. She also hit that rollout knee that he does shortly after, so that was a nice spot as well. Ripley dealing with an injured leg was so Flair focused on that. She managed to hit a suplex for a 2 count. Flair went for attack in the corner, but Ripley moved out of the way, allowing her to hit a riptide, but unfortunately was too close to the ropes, allowing Flair to get her foot on the bottom rope. Flair went back to working on Ripley's leg before locking in a figure 8, but Ripley was able to pull herself through the bottom rope to escape. Ripley then pulled off the commentary table and hit Flair with it, resulting in a disqualification. Ripley continued to attack Flair after the bell, eventually hitting a riptide. I actually do remember pretty much this entire match. I think I was awake for this one actually as well. Yeah, weird way to end the match. Obviously, spoiler alert, it was already announced that they're having a rematch at the next event, which we'll get into in a bit. But basically, James, you had Ripley winning this match. Rob and I had Charlotte winning this match.
Wow, so I take an L there?
You take an L thanks to a disqualification, which is interesting. It was an alright match. It wasn't bad. It was just a weird ending, considering, I mean, I don't know, they used the top of the table throughout multiple matches. I guess the way she used it caused a disqualification. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember how I might have missed this part, but I do remember. I do remember I don't remember like how the DQ happened, but I do remember Ripley was make sure you say the announcement. She didn't care that Charlotte got the win.
Yeah.
Wanted to make it very clear that she was still the champion, and kind of looked at Charlotte like tough luck kind of deal. And you can even hear Ripley before the camera goes off her and they kind of move on to the next segment. Ripley tells Charlotte, you would have done the same thing, which is kind of true. Charlotte was, and I'm pretty sure has on multiple occasions, done similar in regards to tactics. But I think we may have just maybe established more so than anything that Rhea is, I guess, the heel in this situation. Now, whether that makes Flair babyface by default,
I don't think so.
Know. I don't think so either. But
the story, I think, was here. Charlotte said she was going to teach Rhea Ripley a lesson, I guess, and teach her. So, and I guess that was the story there. And so Rhea Ripley had to do some tactics that Flair would normally do, I guess, to try and get the upper hand here.
I think with that said, though, I think so. As far as from what I remember, I don't think Rhea has a clean win over Charlotte yet.
Nope.
And obviously, if they're holding this off, we have another one set for the next pay-per-view. Maybe that will count as the second match. And maybe they'll try and set up something for SummerSlam. I think that's a little too far out for this feud to maybe continue on that long, which would have been a SummerSlam-worthy match. I don't know. I don't know where they're going exactly with the storyline going forward. It feels a little maybe just kind of like it's just there, even though both of them are very talented and are on the right path for their career, obviously.
Absolutely. And then we get into our main event for the WWE Championship. Of course, if Roman Reigns was on the show, he would have closed out the show. But he said, "I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna give it to Raw, give it to the Lashley, because he's been a all right champion. Not very main event worthy, but they decided, all right, we're gonna give him a chance to shine here. All right. This one is a little more lengthy, so I'm just gonna kind of do the Spark Notes version. Lashley immediately dove from the ring, trying to pull something out of the ring, but McIntyre followed, driving Lashley's face into the cell, slamming into the wall. There was a dominant stretch from McIntyre grabbing several chairs and throwing them into the ring, delivering a face-first slam to Lashley onto them. Lashley nearly locked in the Hurt Lock. McIntyre countered and hit a sit-down powerbomb for a 2 count. The ring steps were used as McIntyre was thrown into the cell wall over and over before MVP got involved and helped McIntyre in the corner by he helped trap McIntyre, by sliding a kendo stick through the chain link. With the referee down, McIntyre hit a future shock DDT, but no one was there to make it count. A new referee entered the cell with MVP kind of getting involved there. He locked himself inside the cell. Ultimately, he ended up pulling McIntyre's leg, I believe, to distract them, and he got what was the finish here? It was Lashley with the roll-up. I remember, that's right, because people were complaining the roll-up isn't a finishing move, even though just a couple days ago, there was a post of Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair where Dusty won his 3rd world title with the roll-up. So a roll-up's a move. It's a win.
Well, oh yeah, I mean, you got you win by any means, and I think I was more so impressed with these two when it came to how long they were able to have a good match. I think especially for bigger guys, a guy like Bobby Lashley, I can't remember too many long matches that he's had, but usually when it comes down to some of the bigger guys, you're not expecting lengthy matches out of them. But I think we kind of got some of that on display here in this match, as far as just two guys being able to go for as long as they did. They've been in the ring for quite some time now together, and I don't think still it was the right time for Bobby to lose the title. Is the steam starting to come off on Bobby a little bit? Maybe. I'm curious to see him. We'll talk. Well, maybe, I don't know. Do we want to jump right here into Raw? I did find it kind of interesting where they had McIntyre moving on, obviously, since he lost the match, not being able to compete for the title as long as Bobby has it. I feel like that can change with the upcoming pay-per-view, but now that he's, based on results on Monday, who knows where they're going with Drew.
We'll get into it for sure. Let's quickly wrap up this predictions reveal or full thing. Lashley, we all predicted Lashley would win, and yours truly won predictions here. I got it.
That's the first time all year.
I don't think so. I think
since Mania.
So Rob and James got 4. I got 5. I think out of 6. Yeah, there were 6 matches. So there we go. Raw was a good show. I mean, I thought so. I was able to watch it pretty well, easily, not falling asleep. Let's talk about it. Money in the Bank is happening in a couple of weeks. We're going to have to give our predictions, I think, next episode already for that. Yeah, so it's coming up very soon. It'll be the first pay-per-view with actual fans in attendance.
Yes.
Of course, since WrestleMania, of course, but it'll be the first time with fans regularly in attendance moving forward. So that should be fun. We had a number of Money in the Bank qualifying matches featuring John Morrison versus Randy Orton, Riddle versus Drew McIntyre. We had AJ Styles versus Ricochet. And we also had a couple of women's qualifying matches between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which we'll mention. I'm sure you want to talk about her. Teaming up to face Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And then also the other one was Asuka and Naomi taking on Eva Marie and her tag team partner, which I'll mention her name in a little bit. We'll kind of speed through those qualifying matches, but we'll talk about Money in the Bank for sure. We'll talk about the main event, which closed out the show, and then we'll talk a little NXT if we got some time. There's a few.
Yeah, we got to talk about NXT for sure.
We have to, because there's a few diamonds in the rough, James. A couple of diamonds there, which we'll talk about, of course. We'll talk about Adam Cole, Cool Kyle, your favorite wrestler. Say it with me, James.
Ted
Hey,
DiBiase.
night. No, that
No.
doesn't work. All right, we'll be back. I'm Beyond the Ropes.
But
We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 148 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan, which you can find me on Twitter at EthanMV95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
All right. And we're talking Monday Night Raw, of course. We're talking Money in the Bank. Well, let me see if I can pull this up here. There we go. Got my Money in the Bank screen. Been waiting all year for this. We had a number of qualifying matches. Let's quickly go through them. Ricochet with the upset on AJ Styles, thanks to the Viking Raiders helping out there, kind of taking out Omos out of the equation. Looks like we'll be getting AJ and Omos defending those titles against Viking Raiders, potentially at Money in the Bank. Ricochet moves on to Money in the Bank. Then we got John Morrison versus Randy Orton. It was their first ever singles match, which is insane. Of course,
Really?
Yeah.
For John Morrison and Randy Orton?
Never faced each other in a singles. Great match. This was good. Morrison with the innovative offense, of course. Riddle tried to help Randy here, but ultimately kind of cost him. Morrison kind of got a nice little win there with not a roll-up or anything. He actually hit Starship Pain, his finisher, to get that victory on Randy. Riddle, on the other hand, ended up defeating in a nice brutal contest between Randy Orton. Not Randy, I'm sorry. McIntyre, Drew McIntyre. He got the win over McIntyre and is moving on to Money in the Bank. We did see a few members in the Raw locker room backstage, kind of like wondering why aren't they in the match or qualifiers. Jeff Hardy, Cedric Alexander, and Jinder Mahal and Sheamus. So that might end up being like the United States Championship title scene, I think, because looks like Sheamus might be cleared very soon to wrestle. I don't know. They kind of teased it there, right. U.S. champion. So maybe we'll see them in kind of a U.S. title picture scene there. But so far we got 3 out of 8 competitors. We're gonna get 4 for SmackDown. They may already be announced as this episode goes up. But next week we're gonna have a last chance match between Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match. McIntyre is totally winning this, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mentioned there earlier, where we'll kind of see where he goes. Again, I'm not surprised they're doing a last chance match. Also, kind of interesting to see how things played out with that McIntyre Riddle match. It was a physical match for sure, and I think trying to remember how McIntyre lost. I know Randy was there; he was just kind of staring on the top of the ring. Was that enough of a distraction for?
He was just watching the match between Riddle and McIntyre, but Riddle was trying to get a reaction out of him, trying
that part was great.
Match, and it didn't work.
That part for me. I mean, you kind of almost think Randy's gonna snap on in there, but he's not. I guess I'm just still kind of. It's nice. It was nice to see McIntyre in the ring with someone different, but
yeah, all these matches pretty fresh. I mean, we've seen AJ and Ricochet before, but they put on good matches.
But I think even then too, though, you don't have Ricochet winning some of those matches the way that he did here.
Every match was an upset,
and I think it kind of you kind of see where they're going with it. Obviously, you got Morrison in there, you got Ricochet in there. You get those are kind of your high flyers for the match. We'll see, maybe SmackDown can add one, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe like a Shinsuke or some other guys in there. Maybe you don't even have any high flyers from the SmackDown side in it because you kind of meet that quota more or less with Morrison and Ricochet in there. I think they're obviously in there for that reason, but Yeah, we'll see how things play out. You know, you mentioned the U.S. title scene. Some of those guys, there could be a case there. Interesting to see where they go with Randy Orton though, too, because if Riddle's going to be in the match, what is Randy going to be doing? That I mean, who's the other one in the match? AJ, maybe AJ. Well, AJ's going to be in the tag match, but you have him in that last chance. So that means you're not going to get Randy and Drew McIntyre. We don't want to see that again either. Someone's going to get left out in the cold here with that last chance match. And we know it's not going to be AJ because he's probably going to be in that tag match. Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with that because that's going to leave either Randy or Drew on the outside looking in. I can see Drew being in this match and Drew potentially winning this Money in the Bank match just because it's going to give him another chance at Bobby. Then again, we don't know who Bobby's going to wrestle for the title.
I will say, yes, we do. I will say if McIntyre wins the last chance match, he's totally going to win Money in the Bank. This is their way to get that win. He probably will cash in at SummerSlam. I can see it happening. Got to move on quickly. The women's qualifying match. Unfortunately, Eva Marie, her partner betrayed her, a.k.a. Doudrop is her name.
Betrayed her already?
Yeah. She kind of left her hanging, of course, known as Piper Niven. But after that nickname, I guess, that new name she was given by Eva Marie, she kind of left her in dust, realizing that, she was kind of doing all the work. And Asuka and Naomi qualified for the Women's Money in the Bank. So that was a nice little surprise there. On the other side, we had the team of Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax taking on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in a new... She's a superhero, James. She's kind of got a new thing going on. Go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, so a few things. Obviously, I guess it can make a little sense that, and it doesn't come across as a surprise that they're building Nikki up for something, you would think. Ideally, you kind of thought it was maybe a push. I guess this maybe counts as a push. But yeah, you had her win over Rhea, over Charlotte, great wins. Then now she's showing up as a superhero. Maybe I missed the memo or what led to her all of a sudden being a superhero. Obviously, the WWE on Fox Twitter account tagged Hurricane, looking for a response from Hurricane Helms. I forget exactly what he said, but I think he kind of gave his stamp of approval on Nikki.
He said Hurricane, capital Her.
That's right. That's right. And so we'll see where they go with it. It's just kind of, maybe because Molly Holly was in the Hall of Fame and stuff recently, that the superhero thing is kind of in my mind a little bit, but it just seems like you had a win over Rhea, win over Charlotte in a beat the clock match, only for her to turn around to be a superhero. I don't know. I mean, they're working with the range that they think Nikki has, obviously going from crazy woman to now superhero. But okay.
Her husband, Killian Dane,
okay,
on Twitter, as Damo Mackey. This was his tweet. She had an idea and saw it brought to life. Very excited to see what's next. Go, Nikki. So this is her idea.
Yeah, and she tweeted that out too. I kind of caught that before we hopped on the air, where she said this was her idea. She said this. She had this in all capitals. Was her idea. She was able to kind of bring it onto the screen and was happy to do so. I mean, again, it's not an original idea or whatever. I mean, it's not knocking Nikki or anything. But if she has an idea and they're comfortable with it, I'm curious to see where they go with it.
I don't think it's a superhero gimmick per se. I think it's just more of an inspirational type gimmick that she's wearing a superhero outfit, I guess, to go along with it. But we'll see where it goes for sure. Quickly, it was announced WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley defends against Kofi Kingston. Money in the Bank. Been announced.
That's right. That's right.
Before that, Lashley wanted to face Xavier Woods inside the Hell in the Cell, which was still hanging there from the previous night. This was a good match, but of course Lashley kind of left Woods there, kind of beaten, and Kofi had to watch from outside the cell. MVP somehow got his way in there, and they were just after the match was over already, it closed the show with Xavier Woods in the Hurt Lock. So they've kind of been building toward this. Obviously,
Yeah.
he talking to Kofi saying, he's better than the New Day and, all that. So hopefully this should lead to a good match at the Money in the Bank event. Any quick thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, just curious to see where they go. Actually, I think this, trying to remember what I think I was going to tweet or whatever, that wasn't it supposed to be that, because I think when they first started building it up that we were going to get an official WWE title match between two black wrestlers, it being Kofi and Bobby. I think we kind of had that teased when these two fought before, after Kofi beat Orton that same night, I believe. We'll see. I'm interested in that regard, just to see the two of them in the ring again and maybe making some history.
Absolutely. So we'll talk more about that once we get into the back predictions, I believe next week. So, all right, let's move on to NXT, shall we?
Yep.
What a show it was. Kicked off with perhaps the greatest NXT superstar of all time, Adam Cole Bay. Of course, he got to choose his opponent. He had a bit of a ruthless aggression, kind of Cena angle moment.
Yes.
With Carmelo Hayes coming out, laying his hands on Adam Cole. He paid for it, though, after Cole hit that Panama Sunrise for the victory. Good showing for Carmelo Hayes. Seems like they're definitely interested in pushing him a little bit. The previous week, I believe, he faced, or 2 weeks ago, he faced Kushida in that Cruiserweight Championship Open Challenge. That was his debut. So clearly putting him against some of the best athletes there. So nice little team.
Yeah, that was the first I had heard of Carmelo there, and we'll see. We'll see where they go with him. I kind of was, you bring up ruthless aggression, which automatically to me sounds like, push. There's something here. I guess I was almost kind of expecting an upset win. Obviously, that wasn't the case against Adam Cole. I knew that would have put you down for a bad week if that were to happen. Real quick, talking about a good and bad week, I just want to get into the numbers, the ratings here a little bit. Things are looking a little up for NXT on the USA Network. 665,000 was total viewers for NXT, which is up just a little bit. I mean, overall, just compared to numbers we've seen in the past where they were in the 500,000. So obviously, when you have a guy like Samoa Joe coming back the week before, I think maybe that helps a little bit boost the ratings. Going back to Raw really quick, 1.7 million. I think that was a small decrease from.
It went down a little bit. Okay.
I think it went down. Maybe just a tad bit. Obviously, coming off the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, but overall, I mean, those numbers are still rather strong compared to where they've been in previous weeks. Speaking of strong, we'll talk about strong in a minute. Carry on.
Absolutely. Of course, we got a nice little video package from, say it with me, James, L.A. Knight in his nice, luxurious home. Oh, you did it. Come on, say it with me now. Come on.
I did the thing. I'm not saying it. Then you have your
Knight. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, he talked trash about one Cameron Grimes. So
we're on the Cameron Grimes bandwagon over here in this household.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
Yep.
But a nice little promo there. He's looking like $1 million, $1 million megastar. Of course, I'm talking about LA Knight. So, unfortunately, he wasn't there live. That's all right. We had Gargano and Theory take on Gargano Theory, kind of turning a little face here as they went against Pete Dunne and Owen Lorcan. They've turned a little more comedic, which they've kind of always been, more in a babyface type way. They're more respectful and cordial towards Mr. Regal ever since Samoa Joe's back. Which is hilarious. He got Regal a new pencil because he broke Regal's pencil before. He knocked on Regal's door this time, so which he hadn't in the past. They got the victory over Oni and Pete Dunne. and then attacked by Karrion Kross. So that seems to be the next match because he did call out Kross. So we'll be seeing that, I'm sure, potentially at the Great American Bash in a few weeks.
Is that the match that you think we're going to get, though? I think that might just be a match maybe they just do.
I mean, this is 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, okay, maybe.
It's not a takeover. It's just a NXT episode, a special.
Oh, that's right.
Episode.
Okay.
So it's not a its own special, but special episode.
I get you. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll probably see that happening. Of course, the main event will be Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly because, of course, that's the big match they've been promoting there. We also got a huge announcement. The NXT Tag Team titles will be defended between MSK and Timothy Thatcher versus Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa after they defeated the grizzled young veterans in the previous episode. It was a solid match. I just finished watching that. In the women's tag division, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark defeated Aaliyah and Jessica Kamea, and then brought out, of course, the tag team champions, The Way, as well as Shotzi and Ember, and the NXT Women's Champion, Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. And next episode, we'll be getting the Triple Threat #1 Contenders match, and I'm sure the titles will be defended once again at the Great American Bash the following week. I could have only assumed. So that should be an interesting, solid match there.
Yeah, they kind of need to get Raquel out of that tag team, though. I mean, not out of the tag team, but they need to get her out of the tag team title picture. And she has the singles title, and I feel like,
she wants all the gold.
Well, that's fair, but I mean, have the women's title be defended. Get her out of that title, out of that tag team title picture, and if not, what's the point? Like, what are we doing? And she's a worthy. I mean, she has the size. I mean, she's what a champion would look like, ideally, but
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. Frankie Monet had an encore performance, defeating Elektra Lopez. Mm-hmm. We had Hit Row defeat Everrise, which is Hit Row is doing great. And then, of course, in the event, we had Kushida versus Cool Kyle O'Reilly. A fun little match there. Kyle O'Reilly ended up picking up the victory over Kushida in a roll-up. Look at that, another roll-up
mm-hmm.
there. However, after the match, of course, Adam Cole Bay, as I'm completely losing my screen here, Adam Cole Bay attacked Cool Kyle from behind, sending a little message, which is fine and dandy. And then a huge, shocking surprise. Finally, after weeks of anticipation, the Diamond Mine made their debut as a mystery person, attacked Kushida, kind of laying him with that, let's see. It was, I forget what the move is called, but he laid him out, Kushida.
Was it a Falcon Arrow? It wasn't a Falcon Arrow, was it?
No, it was like a little, like a power slam move.
It was
then we got to see the reveal of one Roderick Strong, the return of Ravishing Roderick Strong. He hit a running knee on Kushida, a very nice, beautiful knee. Look at that replay, it's very well done. And then we got to see Tyler Rust, who we haven't seen in a little while.
Yeah, and he's the one who had the manager, right? And the manager's still there.
Had Malcolm Bivens, who came in as well. That's Malcolm Bivens. And then another mystery.
Who they didn't give a name for.
It was the first time of his showing on the show.
Okay.
His appearance. I believe he did tweet that he might have been a new Twitter account. I don't think he was mentioned. I forget who he was, so I forgive me. But he looked serious there. But we did see Malcolm Bivens, who's been mentioned a lot by Xavier Woods. I think he's using him in the Battle of Brands for his Up, Down, Down channel or something. So Bivens has been getting a little popularity there. But Bivens came out with that Kushida's Cruiserweight Championship and was showing it to Roddy Strong. So the Diamond Mine's got a new leader, Roderick Strong, and we may be seeing him go after that Cruiserweight Championship. Quick little side note before we talk a little bit quickly about this. It seems like they might be building up that Cruiserweight division over the summer. Apparently, officials in WWE are really high up on Kushida, and they really want to kind of build this Cruiserweight division up, including bigger stars and bigger names. So that's cool. What a way to build that division with having a former member of the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong, kind of get involved. So Diamond Mine is here.
Definitely. And I mean, but to that point though, I mean, that's great if they want to build it up, but I mean, what were they doing with Escobar and other old boy, Devlin? Where's what's his name at now? I think he was in the triple threat last week.
Devlin went back to the UK.
Right.
And, Escobar is he still wants that North American title, but I think Hit Row is also going after.
Oh, he was in the North American title picture.
Yeah,
he quickly moved into that, right? After the cruiserweight. Yes, right. Okay.
So Diamond Mine, looking forward to it. I'm glad Roderick Strong is kind of doing something now as well. Obviously, we get that Kyle and Adam Cole feud. I hope Bobby Fish finds something for him to do very soon.
Yeah. It was a little weird that you had all the Undisputed Era guys kind of there the way you did, but there was no interaction.
There was no interaction. They kind of did it. They got away with it. So we'll talk more about it next episode. I'm sure we'll talk more Money in the Bank. We'll talk about the upcoming Great American Bash. Mm-hmm. And until next time, this episode has been absolutely too sweet.